You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Welcome to Icons of Influence, the podcast where we explore the lives of extraordinary individuals who use their fame to drive meaningful change. I'm Hannah Halley, and today we're diving into the story of an actor-turned-entrepreneur whose impact goes far beyond the silver screen. You may know Ashton Kutcher from his roles in That 70s Show or 2.5 Men, but behind the scenes, he's been building a legacy as a tech investor and an advocate for human rights. His organisation, Thorn, is on the front lines of the fight against child exploitation, using cutting-edge technology to protect vulnerable children around the globe. Stick around as we unpack Ashton's journey from Hollywood to Silicon Valley and his evolution into one of the most innovative and impactful humanitarians of our time. Ashton Kutcher's rise to fame feels like the classic Hollywood success story. Born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Ashton didn't grow up dreaming of stardom. In fact, his early years were marked by a far more grounded reality. His twin brother, Michael, was born with cerebral palsy and underwent a heart transplant at a young age. This experience shaped Ashton's understanding of resilience and compassion, qualities that would later define his humanitarian work. Before his acting career took off, Ashton studied biochemical engineering at the University of Iowa. Yes, you heard that right, biochemical engineering. His goal was to develop a cure for heart disease inspired by his brother's medical challenges. That scientific curiosity and drive to solve problems were present long before Hollywood came calling. But life had other plans. Ashton was discovered by a modelling scout at a bar and soon found himself on a plane to New York City. From there, his charisma and good looks opened doors in the entertainment industry, and it wasn't long before he landed the role of Michael Kelso on That 70s Show. Kelso was the lovable, clueless heartthrob of the group, and Ashton's portrayal made him an instant fan favourite. By the early 2000s, Ashton had become a household name, starring in romantic comedies like Jude, Where's My Car, Just Married, and What Happens in Vegas. He also hosted and produced MTV's wildly popular prank show, Punk'd, solidifying his place as one of the most versatile stars in Hollywood. But while the world saw him as a comedic actor and Hollywood golden boy, Ashton was quietly exploring his next big passion, technology. His time in Hollywood gave him a front row seat to the ways digital platforms were changing entertainment and culture. Social media was emerging, and companies like Facebook and Twitter were starting to reshape how we connect. Ashton saw the potential and the risks early on. Ashton's interest wasn't a fleeting curiosity. He started studying tech trends, meeting with entrepreneurs, and learning the ropes of venture capital. By 2010, he co-founded A-Grade Investments with two partners, Guy Ossery and Ron Burkle. Their goal was simple but ambitious: to identify and invest in groundbreaking companies before anyone else. At first, many people in the tech world didn't take Ashton seriously. A Hollywood actor investing in startups? It sounded like a vanity project. But Ashton proved them wrong. A-Grade Investments went on to back some of the biggest success stories in tech history. Ashton was an early investor in Airbnb, Uber, Spotify, and Skype, companies that have since revolutionized their industries. By 2016, A-grade investments had turned an initial $30 million fund into a portfolio worth over $250 million. When asked about his success, Ashton credited his approach to problem solving. He once said, "I don't invest in tech, I invest in people who solve problems using tech." That perspective set him apart from other celebrity investors and positioned him as a serious player in Silicon Valley. But Ashton wasn't just interested in the financial rewards. His deep dive into the tech world opened his eyes to its potential for solving global issues. He began to see how innovation could be used not just to disrupt industries, but to tackle problems like poverty, inequality, and exploitation. That realization set the stage for the next chapter of his life, a chapter where his fame, tech expertise, and desire to create change would intersect in ways no one could have predicted. The journey to creating Thorn began in 2012, when Ashton Kutcher and his then wife, Demi Moore, came face to face with one of the darkest realities of our modern world: the prevalence of child sexual exploitation and human trafficking. It all started with a visit to the DNA Foundation, an organisation they had initially co-founded to combat human trafficking globally. Ashton and Demi were shocked by the staggering numbers. Millions of children were being exploited, and the internet was becoming the primary vehicle for these crimes. Ashton often recalls a pivotal moment when he and Demi were presented with the horrifying extent of the issue. He described it as a wake-up call, saying, "It's impossible to unsee the problem once you've seen it." That realization drove them to pivot the focus of their foundation entirely. They renamed the organization Thorn, inspired by the idea of being a thorn in the side of traffickers and predators. But Thorn wasn't just about raising awareness, it was about action. Ashton and Demi realized that fighting exploitation at scale required a new kind of solution: technology. Their first step was to understand how traffickers were using the internet. Online classified ads, social media platforms, and encrypted messaging apps had become tools for trafficking, allowing perpetrators to operate in the shadows. Thorn's goal was to shine a light into those shadows. In 2014, Thorn launched Spotlight, a game-changing tool that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to help law enforcement identify victims of trafficking. Spotlight analyzes vast amounts of online data, everything from ads to chat logs, looking for patterns that might indicate trafficking. It then prioritizes leads, helping investigators focus their efforts where they're needed most. The results have been nothing short of remarkable. As of today, Spotlight has been used by over 12,000 law enforcement officers across the US and Canada. It has helped identify more than 27,000 victims of trafficking, 60% of whom are minors. Ashton has spoken passionately about the impact of this work, sharing stories of law enforcement officers who've rescued children within hours of using Thorn's tools. In his words, "We're not just building technology, we're saving lives." But Thorn's mission goes beyond just rescue. The organisation also works to hold traffickers accountable and to disrupt the systems that enable exploitation. This includes partnerships with major tech companies like Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, aimed at developing industry-wide safeguards against trafficking and abuse. And Thorn also focuses on prevention, educating parents, schools, and communities about how to protect children in the digital age. Their programs emphasize the importance of online safety and empower young people to recognize and report exploitation. One particularly powerful example comes from a recent case where Spotlight helped identify a trafficking ring targeting vulnerable teenagers through social media. Within days of the system flagging the network, law enforcement rescued 6 minors and dismantled the operation. What's especially inspiring about Thorn is Ashton's hands-on involvement. This isn't a vanity project or a philanthropic afterthought. Ashton is deeply immersed in the day-to-day operations of Thorn, working alongside tech developers, policymakers, and law enforcement to tackle challenges head-on. In 2017, he testified before the US Senate Foreign Relations Committee, delivering an emotional and impassioned speech about the importance of combating trafficking. He described the work as the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. Thorn's mission is ambitious, but its results speak for themselves. By combining technology, collaboration, and sheer determination, Ashton Kutcher and the Thorn team are rewriting the rules of what's possible in the fight against exploitation. Ashton Kutcher's transition from Hollywood star to tech entrepreneur and humanitarian wasn't without its challenges. While his roles on shows like That 70s Show and 2.5 Men cemented his place in pop culture, his passion for technology and philanthropy sometimes made people skeptical. When Ashton began investing in tech and advocating for social causes, critics dismissed him as just another celebrity dabbling in trends. In fact, Ashton himself has spoken about the uphill battle he faced to be taken seriously. "People thought I was just playing with startups," he said in one interview. "But for me, it was never about play. It was about purpose."
Despite the scepticism, Ashton pushed forward and his dedication quickly silenced the naysayers. His tech investments proved wildly successful and his work with Thorn began to draw attention not just for its ambition but for its measurable impact. But balancing fame and philanthropy came with unique challenges. Ashton's celebrity status helped amplify Thorn's mission, but it also brought scrutiny. He's spoken candidly about how navigating two very different worlds, Hollywood and humanitarian work, required careful balance.
One of the ways Ashton has successfully managed this dual identity is by using his fame as a tool for advocacy. Whether it's leveraging his social media platforms to highlight Thorn's work, or testifying before Congress to push for better anti-trafficking laws, Ashton has found ways to turn his celebrity into a force for good. Take his 2017 testimony before the US Senate Foreign Relations Committee, for example. In an emotional speech, Ashton described his work with Thorn, sharing stories of rescued children and the horrors of trafficking. It was a rare moment where Hollywood met policy-making, and it left a lasting impression. One particularly powerful moment came when he said, "I've met victims that have been trafficked from America to America, and they were my age. They were children." This isn't a third world issue, this is a domestic issue. Balancing fame and philanthropy also means navigating a public persona that doesn't always align with the seriousness of his work. For much of his career, Ashton was known for his comedic roles and prankster personality. Reconciling that image with his role as a tech investor and humanitarian required intentional effort. But Ashton embraced the dichotomy. He once joked, "I can play a goofball on TV and still be serious about saving lives." That ability to lean into both sides of his identity has allowed him to connect with a broad audience, bringing awareness to issues like trafficking in a way that feels accessible and relatable. Of course, Ashton isn't doing it all alone. His work with Thorn reflects a collaborative approach involving tech leaders, law enforcement, policymakers, and activists. He's often said that Thorn's success is the result of partnerships, not just individual effort. "I don't think of myself as a hero," he once said. "I think of myself as someone who's willing to work with others to solve a problem." This humility is part of what makes Ashton's story so compelling. He's not afraid to admit that he doesn't have all the answers, but he's determined to keep searching for them. What's clear is that Ashton Kutcher has redefined what it means to be a celebrity activist. His journey shows that it's possible to thrive in the spotlight while dedicating yourself to causes that truly matter. And perhaps most importantly, he's reminded us that influence isn't just about what you have, it's about what you do with it. Ashton Kutcher's story matters because it's about so much more than fame or fortune. It's about using those tools to make a difference. At its core, his journey is a powerful reminder that no matter where you start, you can evolve, adapt, and find ways to create meaningful change. What makes Ashton's work with Thorn so remarkable isn't just the scale of its impact, it's the intention behind it. He didn't have to step into this space. He could have stayed comfortably in Hollywood, collecting accolades and enjoying the rewards of his success. Instead, he chose to engage with some of the most challenging and uncomfortable issues facing our world today. And let's not underestimate the courage it takes to do what Ashton has done. Tackling a problem like child exploitation is daunting, emotionally draining, and sometimes disheartening. Yet Ashton continues to show up, driven by the belief that every child deserves safety and dignity. His work also highlights the power of collaboration. Thorn isn't just one man's effort. It's a network of people, organisations, and technologies working together to solve a complex problem. It's a testament to what's possible when individuals with different skills and perspectives unite for a common cause. Another reason Ashton's story resonates is the way it bridges worlds. He's shown that you don't have to choose between creativity and innovation, between entertainment and activism. His ability to move seamlessly between Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and humanitarian work is proof that influence can come from many places and can be used in countless ways. But perhaps the most inspiring part of Ashton's journey is his relentless focus on solutions. In his own words, "I don't want to just talk about problems, I want to solve them." That mindset is a call to action for all of us. It's a reminder that even the biggest challenges can be tackled if we approach them with determination and creativity. And that's why Ashton Kutcher's story matters. It's not just about the children who've been rescued through Thorn's efforts, though that alone is extraordinary. It's about the ripple effect of one person deciding to take a stand, how that decision can inspire others to join the fight, create partnerships, and build systems that make the world a little safer, a little kinder. His journey shows us that true influence isn't about being in the spotlight. It's about what you do with the platform you've been given. As we close today's episode, let's take a moment to reflect on Ashton's example. How can each of us use our own skills, networks, or resources to make a difference? It doesn't have to be on the scale of Thorn. It can be as simple as supporting a cause you care about, lending a hand to someone in need, or finding a way to solve a problem in your community. Because, as Ashton Kutcher has proven, change starts with a decision to care, to act, and to persist. That's it for today's episode of Icons of Influence. If Ashton's story inspired you, consider supporting Thorn or learning more about how technology can be used to fight exploitation. Thank you for joining me, Hannah Halley, as we explore the stories of extraordinary people making a difference. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration. Until next time, this is Icons of Influence.